Hey everybody, Neil Malik with Knack Training here, bringing you another everyday office video. And in today's video, I'd like to illustrate the techniques and the functions that I used to be able to create a chart that, as you can see right here, it dynamically highlights any value that I'm interested in, whether that's the highest value in the chart, the lowest value in the chart, the values that didn't hit their quota, or the values that went past their quota, or any other criteria you have in mind. So let's figure out what we want out of this chart. Item number one is we want to be able to highlight different characteristics. So something that's the highest, we'd probably use the max function. Something that's the lowest, we'd probably use the min function. Something that's below quota, we'd have to say it is less than something. And something that's above quota, it's greater than something. Now, all we need for this is actually just one more column of data to be added to the table and then ultimately to the chart. So let's move the chart out of the way and let's make a column that we just call highlight. And the point of the highlight column will be that if it fits the criteria, if it's the highest value or the lowest value or below quota or above quota, then that will show up in the highlight column. And if it's not, whatever it is we're looking for, then it won't show up in the highlight column. Now let's go ahead and put something in here so we can do the quota, right? So we'll do the quota column, and for this we'll do equal sign this value over here times a random number between 75 and 130 times 0.01. So this is basically take the total sales number and show me between 75% and 130% of that value. And so now we'll know whether somebody met their quota or not. Okay, perfect. Now, in order to make this happen as effectively as possible, as simply as possible, I'm going to make use of a new function in Excel called IFS, IFS. And it's basically an if function that uses multiple criteria to figure out whether something is true or not. So here, we're going to need to have a drop-down menu up here that says, what is the criteria that we're looking for? And then the criteria we'll start off with is highest. Oh, and let's make sure that these are solid numbers here. Okay. So in the highlight column, in order to figure out whether it's going to highlight the highest or the lowest or below quota or above quota, we're going to use IFS, IFS. If you don't have IFS, because it was, I believe in 2016 and Office 365 that we got this function, you can use many, many if functions to make this happen, but I'm going to use just IFS. So cell D4, under the Formulas tab, I can use the logical drop-down menu, and you see IFS is right there. And notice it starts off with, okay, give me a test and then tell me what to do if that test is true. So the first test will be, is cell B1 equal to, quotation marks, highest, close quotation marks. Okay, so true, yes it is. Okay, well if it says that highest is our criteria, then what do we want to do if it says that? Well, if it says that, we want to test whether the total sales for salesperson number one are the highest sales, right? So we'll look at the value of true and say, if, open parens, this value, $5.5 million, is equal to the max value, open parentheses, from cell B4 down to cell B24. Now we're going to autofill this down, so I need to use the F4 keyboard shortcut to create an absolute reference there. Close parentheses. Okay, so if cell B4 is equal to the biggest value between B4 and B24, comma, then let's go ahead and output that number, total sales number of 5.5 million. Otherwise, let's output the number 0 and close the parentheses. Perfect. Now, I want to autofill this down to see what the highest number is, but I'm not there yet. So let's keep on going. Notice that as soon as I got into the first logical test, it said, well, I'm prepared now for the second logical test. I can click on the second logical test here. What is it? Well, if cell B1, ooh, and you know what? I forgot to use the F4 keyboard shortcut on it the previous time. B1 always needs to be locked down because, again, I'm going to autofill this down. Okay, so B1, if that's equal to the lowest, close quotes. Okay, well then if cell B4 is equal to the min value from cell B4 to cell B24. Use the F4 keyboard shortcut to lock that down. Close the parentheses, comma, output cell B4, comma, 0 if it's not. Okay, so if it says highest, and if this number is the highest, output that number. Otherwise, output 0. If it says lowest, and this number is the lowest, then output that number. Otherwise, output 0. Next up, is cell B1, press the F4 keyboard shortcut to lock that down, equal to the words below quota, close quotes. If that's true, let's go ahead and scroll down here. If that's true, well then test out whether the number for the total sales is less than the quota, right? So is cell B4, if cell B4 is less than the quota, comma, then we're going to output the number in cell B4. Comma, otherwise output 0. And lastly, if cell B1, press B1 here, press F4 on your keyboard, equal to the text above quota, close quotes. If that's true, then test out. Then, if cell B4 is greater than or equal to cell C4, comma, output the number in cell B4, comma, otherwise output a 0. Whew. Hit OK. Autofill this thing down. What you should see is that the $5.5 million that was the highest value for salesperson 12 is the one thing that shows up. If I hit the drop-down menu, oops, I haven't made the drop-down menu yet. Let's make a drop-down menu here, everybody. Let's go to the Data tab at the top of the screen. Click on Data Validation. Choose to allow a list of possibilities. And the source of that list is highest, lowest, below quota, and above quota. And then hit OK. Here we go. Now I switch over to lowest. Right there, that person who sold $732,000 worth of stuff, they have the lowest number. Great. Who's below quota? Ah, look at that. Below quota, below quota, below quota. And then obviously the other people should be above the quota. Not bad. Now before we move forward with this, I'm going to put this in the chart, but before we do, let's go ahead and make these labels absolutely perfect. In my mind, I don't just want to highlight these and then use my Home tab and just turn on that number formatting, right? That's okay. But I'm thinking that I would really love to see how many millions this is, so like 5.5 million or 0.7 million or those sorts of things. And if it's a 0, I actually I don't even care to see that number in the chart. So I'm going to go up here to the number formatting group on the Home tab, hit the little pop-out button, and watch this little bit of custom number formatting. I'll go over here to custom, and you see here it's got dollar signs and pound signs and zeros representing the different elements. But notice right here, this is the positive amount, this is the negative amount, this is what we put out if it's a 0, and this is what we put out if it's text, with the semicolons in between. So I'm going to make up my own custom number formatting. The first part of it will be $ space 0.0 comma comma quotation marks the letter M, right? So if this is a positive number value, show this to me as 0.0 comma comma, meaning don't show me the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, or 100,000s positions. Go straight to the millions position and show me at least the first number after the million spot and the first decimal number before the million spot. So $5,532,500 becomes 5.5 M. Semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. What does that do? 3 semicolons following this says if it's a negative number, if it's a 0, or if it's text, don't show it. You see, there's nothing in between those semicolons. That's our way of telling Microsoft Excel, I don't want to see those things. So then I hit OK, and let's look at these labels. See how much nicer those labels are? Either there's nothing because they don't fit the criteria, or they're a nice tidy little decimal million number. Show me all the below quota people. Show me the highest value. Show me the lowest value, etc. So now all that's left is to highlight all the numbers in the highlight column, hit Control-C on my keyboard, click on the chart, and use Control-V. You'll see here that it clearly shows you the highest value, the 5.6 million. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of customization to this. The first thing I'm going to do is click on this bar and hit Control-1 on my keyboard. And when I do that, you'll see here that it's formatting that data series. So I'm going to go over here to the paint bucket, fill this in with a color that really will pop off the screen, maybe a nice dark blue in contrast to the pale gray that's there. And then the second thing I'll do is I'll go over here to my little series options, the chart icon right there, and I'll say that the series overlap should be 100%, that the different series should overlap each other. And you see that right there? It puts the blue bar on top of the gray bars very easily. Not only that, but let's go in here, let's go to the Design tab at the top of the screen, go to Add Chart Element, and add some data labels. I'll add a nice, let's say, inside base data label. You see here it's black on blue, so I'll click on that, and I'll just go ahead and change the color of the text to white. There we go. Not bad, right? So now I have that 5.6 M sitting on top of the blue bar. And when I switch from highest to lowest, I have the 0.7 sitting on top of that blue bar. When I have below quota, I have all those numbers showing up. And when I have above quota, I have all those numbers showing up. I have just one last thing to do. I don't want to see the quota value nor the highlight value on this spreadsheet. I just want to see the chart that results from it. So the first thing I do is I click on the chart, and up here on the Design tab, there's a button for Select Data. And when I go to Select Data, I want you to notice here, there's a thing called Hidden and Empty Cells. And when I click on Hidden and Empty Cells, it says, right now, if you hide rows and columns, we'll hide it from the chart. That's actually not what I want to have happen at all. I'm going to click the checkbox. When I go in and hide the highlight column, when I go in and hide the quota column, I don't want to see those. In fact, I might even go in and hide the B column. I want to go ahead and hide everything, potentially. I'll click OK, and click OK. And now nothing seems to happen, but watch as I highlight the C and D columns, right-click on it, and then hide those columns right there. You see how the chart stays perfectly intact, and I don't have to worry about anything getting lost in the shuffle. So now I have a perfectly easy highlighting column to be able to pinpoint the items that are important to me depending on what part of the thing I'm asking about. And I did that using the IFS function to be able to show different possibilities using the same dropdown.